You want to do it?
Okay, now we're recording, so I'm going to have a redo. The magic of television. Zoom as it is. I'm David Barlow, Secretary to the Select Board.
Bill Marquette, Select Board.
Scott Breyer, Select Board.
Bernie Glenn, Planning Commission.
Kara Keeman, resident.
And Martha, could we get, or Donna?
Martha Sylvester, resident.
Len and Donna Griffiths, resident.
Great, thank you very much. I will go ahead and call the meeting to order at 6:03 p.m. And item 2, changes or additions to the agenda.
Barlow, you got me, right?
I do. So I have 2 changes to propose. The first is a quick look at a draft to put out for painting bids on the meeting house. And the second is from Martha concerning the fall festival. And that would fall under other business, A and B. Do we have any other changes or additions to the agenda? None heard, we'll carry on. Allowing for public comment.
I just want to thank the select board, Martha Sylvester, for removing Ned from his post. So however that transpired, I just realized that happened this week. So thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Martha. Item number 4, discussion of road work to be put out to bid in 2022. I'm thinking that we don't have Mr. Gallup with us this evening. He did call earlier and say he might not be here because of the need to attend a funeral or some sort of service for someone.
Okay. So let's table that till next meeting.
Okay. Item number 5, Planning Commission.
All right.
I'll turn that over to you, Freddie.
So item A on the appointment of town NVDA rep, we talked about it at the last select board meeting. The action on our end was to recommend someone. So the planning commission took a vote and we are recommending Pedro Grondin to be our NVDA rep. So at this point, y'all just need to make a motion, make that official, and then we can have Pedro start attending those meetings.
Do we need to give anything to NVDA?
I'm sorry,
Do we need to give anything to NVDA?
I'm not sure, but we didn't, or I mean, I'm not sure. I guess if y'all are making the appointment, do y'all need to
Yeah.
contact them? Okay.
Yeah, we'll send
Yeah.
something, probably if you want me to sign it, just.
Yeah, just find out if there's something from NVDA that we need to fill out, or if it's just a matter that we say, here, this is who we are.
Mhm.
I'll make a motion to appoint Pedro Donald Gronin as the town of Coventry's NVDA rep.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, item B is, I mean, this is really more now the select board side of this, and I sent out an email about this to you guys. Mainly because our previous town admin was the MPM, VTrans can't officially let us continue with the project until the new one has been appointed.
Mhm.
There are, I believe, 3 ways of doing it. Those were detailed in the.
I think there were, so I have the email up.
Go ahead.
There are 2 parts of it. Select board needs to first determine the procurement process,
Correct,
and then after which an MPM can be secured.
right, and I think there are
So we
3 parts
have
of the procurement
3
process.
procurement processes that we can go with. There's the competitive procurement process, which is an RFP. With other details in it, a contract with regional planning commission or use of municipal employee. This would be the desired candidate must fill out a questionnaire and provide a resume, which must be reviewed and approved by the MAB personnel. And then an at the ready procurement process. Qualified consultants have been pre-selected through a qualification-based selection process administered by the municipal assistance section. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I would think that we were and would want the competitive procurement process. Because I don't recall hearing anything else about those other 2. You can do a questionnaire and then
So last Okay, I guess I'm not sure, because y'all, what my thought was last time since Ned was appointed, I thought he was a municipal employee, and so that's how it kind of went about.
Yeah, well, and that's, I guess that's, it would have been nice, and I guess we should have asked that question to them, is to say, okay, so what were we using last time? Because I didn't see them mention that in there, what we had when Ned was on there. Which process we were using, because I go with the same one, and
So apparently, so number two option, we got some additional guidance from the V-Trans folks. They said that the municipal guidebook references the ability for a municipality to utilize a municipal employee, select board member, or a RPC representative to assume the role of the municipal project manager.
right, that's project manager. We first have to come up with the procurement process. we're
Right,
going
so
to
if you pick
use.
number two, this is for number two,
Contract for regional planning commission or use of a municipal employee.
correct? Which would be, in my mind, the easiest path forward. If we can appoint a current municipal employee or a select board member, it would at least, because otherwise, if we put out an RFP, that's gonna delay the whole process. We're gonna have to put it out, wait for bids to come in, go through the selection process, blah, blah, blah. Pre-selection would be the same thing. We'll have to set up criteria, I believe, and then put the criteria out, pre-select people based on that. So from a
I
time.
guess
frame standpoint-
I'm looking at this in a different, maybe we're looking at these as two different.
Okay.
The
What do you
way I understand this is not for the project manager.
It
It's
is.
for what our procurement process would be
To get
for
the
the
project
project,
manager.
for the project.
Yes, we're on the same page on that. So I'm going one step further from there and saying that of the three procurement processes, the second one would be the easiest path for us forward, because the other two will take a lot more time.
Okay, I guess I'm still not understanding, and I don't think we're on the same,
No,
no.
so what do you, I guess I'm not sure what you're missing.
So one of the three procurement methods referenced must be utilized to secure a new NPM for the, okay, secure a new NPM for the project.
Right,
So once we get a new
Okay, so
NPM.
that's not for anything going after the fact.
right, so that is, what process
so
do we
yes,
want to
number
use
two,
to pick the NPM? Once we pick the process, then there's a certain set of things that happen beyond that. So I think once you pick the process, contact John, the V-Trans person.
Yeah, there's a questionnaire on that number two.
Correct.
What happened? That doesn't make sense at all.
So y'all don't have to make a decision on it today, but just know that the more we delay it,
So that's the
further
one,
kickoff gets pushed out.
that's what, number two is what you gave us here. Yeah, that's the questionnaire that popped up.
That's the other thing, it gives you.
The outline of what needs
The
to
outline
happen.
of what supposedly this NPM would be responsible for. Now, this is an all-encompassing thing, so it encompasses projects that would be much larger than what we have on hand,
correct,
but.
And this would be only be, this is only for the study,
I have
right?
that page, I don't think I have this.
not just for the study, I mean, if we're gonna get other V-Trans grants, an NPM will be required for those ones too, and I believe Deb had pushed us another bicycle and sidewalk.
Yeah, so that was funding for the project once we had what I saw that.
Yeah.
That was for the project once we figure out what we're doing.
Right, so overall, what I think is if we're gonna be dealing with V-Trans on a regular basis, having an NPM established would just be beneficial for us in the long
How long are you planning commission? 2 years?
run, 1 year. But you can make a planning commission member cannot be an NPM. We got that clarified because we're volunteers,
Yeah, it needs to be an employee.
right? Or a select board member.
And this is a 2 or 3 year, this is probably a 2 or 3 year project. Do you agree?
I'm not sure what the.
The
sidewalks
scoping
will
study
study.
probably is not gonna be that long, but the
Right.
project might be.
But it would,
Yeah, 2, 3, 4 years, I don't know.
so unless it's an actual employee of the town, like a select board person or whatever, it would be,
Even-
it would be,
It's even hard with a select board. member.
because, no, it's hard to appoint, like, say I decided, right?
Yeah.
So in 2 years or a year and a half, 2 years, I'm done.
We'll have to get on a new one.
Then you have to do it again.
Right.
Whereas if it's an employee,
I agree with you. I know where you're
It's-
going with
it's better if that person is,
it. 100% agree with you.
not that the employee will be here in 2 or 3 or 4 years, but
Right.
most likely, possibly.
You'll have some continuity. Yeah, I mean, the only thing is just, we are in such a state of flux right now, you know,
Yeah, you,
so I'm just throwing out options. It's however you all wanna do it. We have no qualms about it. Our only like dog in the fight is that the sooner we do it, the better, because this contract ends at a
Right.
certain point. I'm sure we can extend it and all that fun stuff, but if we can avoid having to go through all that hassle, it would be appreciated.
so we don't have that many employees to choose from.
Other than,
And this guy's already loaded.
Like, you know, yeah, I mean, this is kind of work I actually enjoy, but could I get to it in a timely fashion to?
what if we can get to, like, offload some of David's responsibilities through other means, or then we have given the ability to do this.
You know, like, I mean,
If we did appoint you, just say,
mhm,
and you let the planning commission do all the work once once it was set up.
He's just the point of contact.
You're just the
right?
point of contact and you give the information to the planning commission, but you're responsible 100% for nothing other than turning the work over.
And
And that is a totally fine arrangement, like, we'll CC David on everything that's going on, he can be, you know, the gatekeeper of what happens between the.
that's what,
I guess it's no worse than what you used to have.
It's the
Yes.
same thing.
Yes,
Um,
yes,
I mean, I don't see where you have much choice.
We don't have anybody
I'm glad to
else.
see that, David.
Doing it, so.
well, if that was the case, I'd even be well, I'm technically only here another year too, but
You wanna jump on?
well, in theory, we were hoping to have another town administrator, so it might end up having to be changed again anyways, but.
Right,
But if we get the study done
Yeah.
and then we figure out what we want to do, and then at that point, we could change,
right,
we could change,
absolutely,
but not,
Once the study's done. then
Because we're
it's
gonna-
no Longer.
yeah, absolutely.
so we have, how much, the grant was for the
Yeah, we
study,
did a grant
right?
for
And it was 25 grand, how much, 30
30.
grand.
At 35-ish. yeah.
So once the grant and we lay out the platform, once that's done.
Yeah.
Then we could reappoint.
Right, I mean, we don't have to worry about the long-term MPM, because the long-term is only if we continue to do more V-Trans grants, which I think we will, so it's a good idea.
Yeah,
But for what we have to focus on now, you're absolutely right, we can just focus on the sidewalk study, appoint someone for now, and once that's done, then we can figure out what to do from there. And whoever the MPM is, I will help out as much as I can.
Stand by for October.
But then again, I think you all need to first talk with John before, because he needs to know what the procurement method is before we appoint someone.
Oh. Okay,
So that's step one, let him know what we're trying to go for, then he'll come back with whatever he needs.
so we got a motion that we're gonna, or do we even need to vote on that?
I don't know.
I don't recall us doing that the first time,
making a motion? No.
doing anything for that. It was just
We just
the
appointed
scoping
Ned.
study and we appointed Ned as being the project manager, so.
So maybe recommend.
I think it's probably a good idea that we do that because of past,
Not, yeah, that'll be a record.
huh?
CYA.
Definitely has got it. Yeah,
Thoughts?
it is an
So there's-
official,
The procurement action is to how you get the MPM.
That, and that's where I was confused. I thought procurement was meaning like anything project wise of
Yeah, like-
procurement, but,
Going to find
It's-
some, like, the Dufrain group to do.
Yeah.
that work.
but it's not. And
No,
when
no,
so it does.
it's the procurement of the MPM, that's.
So
what
you
those
can,
are.
you can put out an RFP to be the project manager, get someone to be the project manager. Contract with the RPC, which would be NVDA
Mhm.
or municipal
Yeah, okay,
employee.
yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I didn't even make you repeat that.
Could always do
Double
NVDA,
check.
could always contract
I would
with
say-
NVDA. That'd be
I'm
probably a
sure.
pain in the butt.
Just go ahead and appoint me.
All our money will be gone before they start.
So I think,
We've already marched down that.
let's do it this way. I'll make a motion for us to choose option 2 contract or use a municipal employee for the, let me see how it's worded in here. For the procurement method to choose a municipal project manager for the scoping study, a sidewalk scoping study project. And then we have to get a hold of.
Yeah, I'll
John
second
and-
that.
Yeah. And then the way Praneet's making it sound like, which I think is how I read it too, is we have to let them know Please let me know which method of procurement you'll be pursuing, and please let me know if I can assist. Unfortunately, kickoff meeting. I don't see where he says.
Can we
We'll
make
do
them?
that as a second, we'll do that as its own motion right there, so all in favor, aye.
I
Aye,
believe that the town has to send them a letter
then we send the letter in. telling
referencing
them-
a procurement.
Once a specific method is chosen, he can then provide additional information as needed.
Correct.
They're not technically town, they're volunteer.
Once the procurement is accepted, then we can appoint the employee.
Yeah,
Correct.
Can we make a motion to appoint the
You don't want to jump the gun. right?
Yeah.
employee subject
I'd rather
to
not jump into
the improvement?
I would think so.
I would, because then he
Yeah.
gets the email done back saying, yeah, fine, and then
It's
Barlow's,
done.
he's in, and then we
Fair enough.
save 2 weeks, just like that.
Absolutely right. Absolutely right. Yeah, let's do that.
So do you want to do it, Barlow, or like if it's working in that way, I would be amendable to take it, like, I don't know how often you're checking things, usually I'm checking emails once a day, so if it makes a difference.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, there are more multiple
Okay.
times a day, so.
Or
I
do
mean,
you
it makes
want to
sense for the
go?
position. It just does.
Yeah.
And if we find a town administrator, then you'll have extra time because
And you could stay as you're an employee, so you could stay as the project manager.
so I make a motion. Once the what do they call it?
Municipal project manager.
No, but
Procurement.
Procurement.
once the procurement is approved, if it is approved, then I
appoint-
make a motion to appoint David Barlow as the
municipal
MP.
project manager.
Yep,
I'll second that.
all those in favor?
Uh,
Aye,
Back in the procurement.
Done.
Okay.
Done today.
I think we got it done.
Yes, sir.
So you're gonna send a letter to them and they're gonna say, okay, and then you're the guy, and then you're gonna forward the emails to Praneet and he's gonna do all the work.
Something like
That's
that.
pretty much
Okay.
it. I mean, that's how it's been going so far. We just need someone to move the
This
mix.
is that that V-Trans email that
Yeah,
is out there.
the Coventry STP BP 208.
You gonna send that?
He's got it.
Okay. Alright. Well, that's all I have, folks. I've got family in town, so I gotta head out.
Okay.
All right, thanks for coming. Have a good night. See ya.
Well, moving on then to item 6, 911 coordinator.
So I was hoping David would be here, but can you, this will be short and sweet, is this came up when we did the naming of Jim Cobb's driveway to Coventry Falls Lane. And when I was talking to the state, we were talking it over, and that drive is, as Jim Cobb had said, a town highway. It's Town Highway 37. However, while we were looking at it, we found that the old road, there's an old bridge foundation there, which was Town Highway 62, is still on the V-Trans map. It's on that the top part is the V-Trans map that says it's unpassable. The bottom one is a overlay that he has for the E91 maps. We need to drop that. Now, I don't know, I think there's a process to do that, but I don't know what it is, because we went through and we dropped all those roads there, so,
I'm sure it involves lots of advertising.
yeah. So if you could, or I could look into it. I could try to. look
Gallup
back,
would.
but I wasn't part of
reach
it.
out to-
I wasn't on here when it was.
If you reach
that,
out to
so.
David Gallup, he'd know exactly on how we drop these roads, so, or propose, like, I don't think anyone's gonna petition dropping this 62.
No,
one
because
even
there's
knows
no,
it's there.
well, it doesn't go anywhere. There's nothing there. The other one that I wanted to talk with Gallup on is that his driveway there that we named is a class 3 up to that particular point, and then a class 4 all the way back into the field. Class 3 means we're supposed to be maintaining it. So I don't know if he's actually doing that or not. And my mind would be, okay, let's drop
The whole road.
the whole road as a town highway. If I personally don't see there being a need to have that as a town highway up into the field, because you can't, it's just a 4-wheeler trail back in there.
Are we maintaining the driveway now?
Well, as a class 4, you're supposed to maintain the culverts. As a class 3, I don't know exactly, I don't remember what you're supposed to do, but there's that little 0.04 miles worth of class 3 that we're supposed to be maintaining and doing. So if he's not doing it, then I think we need to either drop it completely off our town highway map or drop it down to a class 4.
So should we table this and bring it up at the
Yeah.
next meeting?
Yeah.
When Gallup's here? Do we want to give these back to you and you'll save them for our next
Sure.
Yeah,
meeting
that'll
instead
work.
of reprinting those?
So that was I did A and B right there.
Yep. Okay. So to continue,
All right. Item number 7. Property line issue with town garage parcel. Main-
so I've had some
Oh,
time.
This is more information. I didn't read this email. I didn't see this email.
Want to read it?
Yeah.
I think I've read that before.
I read this one.
Let me read this real quick. So we, right here on this map, measurements of 102.46 feet of frontage for the town garage. So he's agreeing, and that's what it exactly what it measures, is the 102 feet. I don't know exactly. I don't see this 102 feet on this map here, but
I don't know that it would be.
it's not.
He only,
So there's two
he
things.
brought only over part of a survey as well. But it's also not a survey of the
Town property.
town property, it's a survey of the property next door.
So
So it sounds like there's two things. Two things is, one is the property line, figuring out what that is.
So-
And I think the only way to do that is to have
the real
the
estate, the
researcher
town's real estate attorney
figure it
to
out.
review it. So I think we make a motion to let David Barlow talk with the town's attorney, real estate person, and have them review the town garage deed and, get back with us on the information. And if the information matches what we're being presented, then I don't think we'll have to do anything further. But if it doesn't, then we'll do what's necessary to determine the boundary line.
I'll second that.
Okay, all those in favor? Aye.
Good thing you caught that one. That went to Amanda's old address, unless he resent it. The second part of this is that David Gallup took the concrete barriers that Jim put there. Now, we could say he put them there unauthorized, but depending on how that comes out, he could have been authorized to do it because it was his land. If it wasn't, then maybe not. But according to this email, David has not put them back or given them back.
Okay, so I'll talk to the road commissioner tomorrow and ask him about what has transpired, and I'll send David Barlow an email of our conversation, and he can update everyone and get back with Mr. Cobb on this.
Mhm.
I mean, I don't want to be petty. I think, you know, obviously we want to figure out if that's Mr. Cobb's property, then we don't want to encroach on his property. But at this point in time, I'm not 100% certain it is or isn't.
I'll agree with that.
Yeah, I guess for our viewing audience, I spent about an hour looking at the deeds that are referenced on this particular survey plat, which and really didn't get anything definitive out of that, but it's, they aren't the deeds that the town used to get the property, so it's one generation prior. I mean, literally and figuratively, there's multiple deeds involved, and it's kind of a complex mess, so there's a little bit of looking around to do here.
Well,
I guess I should also point out that that particular survey that Mr. Cobb has is not recorded in the town land records, so we would not have any cause to have reviewed it ahead of time or looked at it or thought about where the property line was over there.
So that's where looking at his deed would come out, because I know mine, I have a survey map that's not recorded in town records, but all the points are noted in the deed.
Hmm.
So. that
Yeah,
would be-
like I said, I haven't found the deed yet.
Right.
right,
So
so,
that issue as well.
so, yeah, so I'll reach out to David, find out about these concrete things that were removed, and if we could make, if you could get a hold of, you know, the town's real estate attorney and, you know, tell them it's kind of urgent, like,
Yeah.
we'd really like to know, we urgent, and we'd really like to know and get it straightened out. We don't want to be encroaching on Mr. Cobb's land.
Right. It's kind of the same
Yeah,
expectation we had on the other side of our.
I mean, I
Yep.
guess
Exactly.
one thing we could do is actually, this is, and I don't know if this would be an factual or even if it would be relevant, is to go down to this survey stake over on Tangway's property over here and measure 102 feet. I don't know if this 102 feet is accurate, but
Well, that's where the deeds all come in.
Right.
The deeds.
I think Mr. Cobb's already done that. So,
That wasn't part of what he brought in. He didn't have the deeds in there in his packet.
No.
Okay.
Right.
But I can, again,
Yeah.
it's dedicated time to look at that, and
Sometimes a researcher who knows what they're looking for, it's better to do
that
that
can also
too.
be quite helpful.
if you wanted to send Mr. Cobb an email, tell him exactly what we stated tonight.
I can-
We're gonna look into it.
Yeah, and then, and tell him that I'm gonna talk to Mr. Gallup about the barriers and figure out what's going on with that,
Right.
and we'll be in touch. And we'll review it at the next meeting. Hopefully we'll have the answers.
I think, if you're okay with it, then I would ask Mr. Cobb not to put the barriers back in place until we can
Yeah,
resolve
yeah,
access. Because there is a fuel tank right there, and I don't want to inadvertently cause a fuel spill or some other handling issue just because we're working around
Right,
physical barriers that.
so we're looking into it. We're gonna have it taken
right.
care of.
Nothing's changed. It's been the
We
same
do
way for
agree.
20 years or longer. And, you know, I
We
think if we
do-
have a
yeah.
couple, 3 weeks to resolve the issue, we should just leave it the way it is.
We do agree that he should be getting his barriers back.
We do agree, yes.
Stop the share. Moving on to item 8, assessor request to change assessing clerk hours and days. The assessor being Mr. Bill Krajewski, who sent an email to me.
Have you talked to him other than this email?
I have not, other than to tell him that it wasn't within my authority to make a decision on that.
I was just curious on
I
if
did
there was a
discuss it.
reason.
With
Right.
Kate, to see
And-
what her opinion was.
And what was her opinion?
Well, yeah, as she's a town employee, right? So.
Yes,
She is a town employee in this role, yes.
So,
she is the person we're giving to them as per the contract as a assistant.
Mhm.
What was her?
Her her stated preference was not to change, to keep it as an 8-hour block, with the reasoning being that that made sure she had enough time to tackle the more difficult aspects of the job that do come up. Things like multiple deed ownership subdivisions, which is a mouthful, and they are difficult to deal with and require a lot of time to work through.
I kind of want to,
I would like
I
to,
kind of want a reason from Bill on why, because all he did was ask to change the days of. Especially if Kate's not wanting it. She's our employee, so.
I wish Kate was here to give her
Yeah.
input. I make a motion, we table this until we hear. We want
Can you
to,
reach out to Bill and ask him that we were curious on the reasons for going to 2 half days? It seems as though that a single full day, from what we have been given for information, is better than 2 half
is
days.
more beneficial to the town. And
Mhm.
he, that's the way it was when he signed in to be our guy. He was our employee, worked for us
Mhm.
8 hours. So I'm really, unless he gives me a great benefit for the town, I don't see a reason why we need to change
Yeah,
it.
because we're not gonna change it to benefit them.
No. We don't need
I don't
to.
know if that's a bad way to look at it, but
Well, unless it benefits all.
unless it benefits,
Right,
yeah,
he
right,
needs, right.
right.
The only thing I see of benefit to the town that's fairly straightforward is it would open up another day
For people who
where
come
for people
in,
would
Yeah.
to have a face-to-face interface.
Which may be beneficial to the town, possibly,
I-
but not as,
I lack any data that says
that it's gonna make
that
that
it's
big of
all,
a
it's
difference.
currently a problem,
Yeah,
right? So
right, and I would also probably like the information is like, okay, is it really an 8-hour job per week? Or is it a 4 hours for 6 months and then 6 hours and then 2 hours and a total of, not exceeding 400 hours per year? And that would make the most sense. Right?
Yep.
Maybe it's some years if you don't have
yeah.
any real
if
estate
she's- if
changing
she's
hands and.
Sitting here, lack of a better word, twiddling thumbs for 3 months out of the year for when 2 hours out of those months would work, and then 16 hours for 3 more months.
I would be
That's beneficial to the town.
right,
I would rather have her here.
Because if there's a
16.
certain period of time in the year that she's out straight and could use more than 8 hours, move those hours.
or even additional help at that particular
Yeah.
point in time. I guess I would caution that her busy times are almost certainly gonna coincide with all the busy times at all the other towns.
Right. Yeah.
Where Bill is covering, so.
Yeah.
The
Right,
season-
he may
although
not-
they're Not exactly necessarily, but they're gonna.
But he may not want to part with her
Overlap.
during those crucial times.
Yeah.
And maybe that's why he's thinking 4
Yeah.
hours twice a week means she can be somewhere else those
Yeah.
times.
Yeah.
I guess he needs to just
I
give
don't
us,
really know.
yeah. All right,
So it's basically what problem are we trying to solve here?
yep.
So table number for decisions anyway, number 9, moving on, town administrator job description. It says with a bit of glee, except that I didn't really get to this in as active a way as I'd hoped, but I did manage to dredge up out of Amanda's files many different versions that she had. I just haven't had a chance to go through and cull through and combine them yet. And I also went through the clerks and treasurers. What do they call it? There's an old way to describe it. It's basically a big SharePoint site they have. They share all kinds of stuff a blog, for lack of a better description, but, and you can just pull down whoever the latest towns are that are out advertising for town administrator positions. So I went out and grabbed a few of those. The one from the town of Waitsfield looks particularly promising just because it's recent. They're reasonably about the same size as we are, within a few hundred people, and it's like it might be an interesting read. So I guess what I would ask the board is to give me a little bit more time to, on this, maybe just a couple of days to get you a draft via email for you to start looking at.
So maybe something we could vote on at our next meeting and possibly get it into the paper.
And that's my objective for sure.
Okay.
Did you see my email with the two?
Right, and this is a multi-layered approach here. One is,
Yeah.
what do we
Yeah.
want the town
What do we-
administrator to do?
Yeah.
And then how much time do we want that person to spend doing it?
Well, we want the town administrator to be able to write grants.
Okay,
Amanda was.
More to it, but yes.
Right. But that's what Amanda did when she wasn't doing other stuff, where she was getting us grants for culverts and all kinds of grants. So she got more grants per year than what her salary was. So she more than paid for herself, like twofold.
Mhm.
Whereas our prior administrator hadn't wrote one grant.
I see, as I think I mentioned last time, I see this position pulling in some of what the economic development plan had for, I know I've said it, the village stuff.
Village
and,
designation and
the rehab grant money things, and that's where the grants come into, so.
I think there's a huge opportunity there for that person to work with the planning commission.
Yep.
On just picking
Projects.
projects and not necessarily just the village stuff.
anywhere
There's lots of other
anywhere in
things
the
that we
town.
could Look at as well.
Right, any matching grant that's out there, we have the ability to match a grant, so.
And I think there's probably even opportunity up with Casella. Some of the stuff they do up there, like they have a huge community garden and they're in greenhouses eventually. Where can we collaborate there as well?
I saw there was something else too with the city and a zoning, there, I know they're needing a zoning administrator. I don't know how well that would work out.
Yeah, that was they had a
Deb.
conversation with their city manager.
Yeah, they hired one and then he's gone within a month, so.
I guess my concern with that is, that would be a wonderful opportunity if we didn't have much money. We were really concerned about how are we gonna pay for
Yeah.
even a little bit of a town administrator.
Yeah.
Right, and I think we're getting to,
But the trade-off of having to do that versus we're not.
I think we
super
can-
Constrained on the money side.
I think we definitely can keep our town administrator busy as long as you're a self-motivated individual and, you know, really good at working independently.
Yep.
You have to be willing to do what it takes to get the job done. Like, you know, I don't really like sitting for 2 or 3 hours and writing up the minutes to the meeting, but that's a job requirement. Just is. And when you come out of that, you're really familiar with what you failed to accomplish. As the town administrator.
Right,
When you finish up and go, well, I didn't do that yet, I didn't do that. But it also keeps you in tune with what you need to be doing.
yeah, when you
There's that, there's the grant writing, it's just the nitty gritty of the job is.
when everything on the minutes from the
Yeah.
weekly meeting before goes on to the agenda for the following meeting in a month, you know, like, wow, we're moving slow,
Yep.
right?
Well, and
Yeah.
I'm,
It's par for the
Well,
course of
same
the position
thing.
we're in right now.
it's just, there is a bit of a learning curve, even for somebody like me who's been here for a while.
But at least you recognize that.
Right. I'm going at it as I can.
You're doing a wonderful job, by
Yes.
the way. We're
I
happy to have.
appreciate the kind words. I am painfully aware where I'm falling short. It's just time is not
Yep.
thing I have a huge abundance of at the moment. If I did, I'd throw
It'd
some
be
at
good.
it. Yeah, it'd be good. Okay, so for item 9, I have a big star on here to get you draft within the next couple days. we can charge down from there. We can't hold a, of course, can't hold a meeting by email. That would not. violate
Right.
Public meeting laws, but
at
if
least
you
we see
individually
it.
want to come back at me with comments.
Right, and then you can compose the letter and then we can confirm it at the next meeting and vote on it. And
Right.
yep,
Okay, moving on to item 10, flood zone permit update. I'll put on my zoning administrator hat. I will switch a little bit here for our viewing audience out there, who I'm sure are just thrilled with all the screen sharing that goes on here. If you check out tomorrow's newspapers that are dailies and then the Chronicle on Wednesday, hopefully you will see an advertisement or a notice posted in there that notes that the Coventry Board of Adjustment will hear a flood hazard area permit on 88 Main Street on Wednesday, May 4th at what is normally the regular, and is the regularly scheduled planning commission meeting.
So they apparently took that news well.
They did. I mean, it's a job in their wheelhouse. It's what they do.
yep,
They get to sit in judgment on
Yep.
this particular application. We did not go into any real details on the steps that are involved with that or the application itself at that meeting. It was just an administrative discussion between myself and in a public meeting with the planning commission about what happens and what they would be doing at their next meeting, part of the time at least. They do, the decision-making process is a deliberative session, so it's closed. It's not quite, well, we did a deliberative session
Mhm.
as well, not too long ago on March 8th to discuss former employee. So, and I'm not involved in that deliberative session as a zoning administrator. I'm also outside. They go in, they deliberate, and they decide
mhm,
what it is they want to do. Related to this, I've had a couple of discussions with the Vermont ENR person who does the flood review here, and she has provided the comments back. There was nothing particularly surprising about her comments. There's a piece of the puzzle that's missing that I was not able to convince our permit applicant to do yet, which is call District 7 of the Act 250 application process and find out if he needs an Act 250 permit over there. My opinion is he probably doesn't because of the parcel size.
It's under an acre.
It is, but you have to be careful with that interpretation because he's paying taxes actually on an acre, but it's because the assessors have combined two parcels on both sides of the street and taxing him like that. But it physically is two separate parcels. It's on his deed as two separate parcels. He bought two separate parcels.
but if he's using
But
it
it's
to
not my
conduct a
decision.
business,
It's not my
right,
decision to make.
right,
Really. What I've told him is I will call the District 7 coordinator, which I can do, and get some feel for it, but he will eventually more than likely have to make that call himself, because a natural first question or second or third question from the Board of Adjustment is do you need an Act 250 permit? And it turns out he does. There's of course, there's that process as well.
so what, in the long and short of it is, prior to their meeting, if real, right, Darashi, if he could get a letter from Act 250 saying he's not required any permit, that would help them in their process, wouldn't it?
And it would be great. That's actually, now I'm gonna forget what that's called. You get a judgment letter from them basically that says yes or no. But it's a fairly, that in and of itself takes a while. It's unlikely he would have that time, but he probably could, I'm thinking he could get a verbal,
Right,
and I could as well, just a matter of getting on the phone.
you might get a faster verbal than him.
Perhaps. He's just reluctant to dip his toe in the water, I guess, figuratively.
Yeah.
Just-
He's afraid of
And
the
I
answer.
understand. I understand, but I don't really see this going any further until we know.
Yeah.
Yes or no. So anyway, I don't mean to show,
Right.
stop that action. We're advertising it, we're going to have the hearing.
And
I'm about
that's
to
definitely
post-
probably a question that's gonna come up at the hearing.
We're gonna get quite a bill for this advertisement as well. It went to all 3 papers. It's expensive. But I didn't see any reason not to, that, it's the first one we've had in a long time. It affects a bunch of different people. There are 6 abutting landowners, including the state of Vermont, with the park. And I'm about to post the physical signs around town as well. They go to all the posting places as well as the properties. It's a joyous event, in life of the zoning administrator. Turns out there's a little bit of work in this.
It sounds like that's quite a bit of, yeah, quite a
I
bit.
did pass off all the posting work got passed off to the town administrator.
Yeah. Before,
So, yeah, that got posted off, that got pushed off to the town administrator. Once that administrator, the zoning administrator work was done, the actual knuckle work passed off to the town administrator. So, that concludes my update.
Did you change your hat?
Now I'm about to change my hat again. And move on to the March treasurer's report. Oh, yet another hat. Let's see if I can get that. I will enthrall our viewing audience with another screenshot of the March treasurer's report.
I like how you mixed up the agenda, so you didn't have, so you could keep flipping your hats.
There's that and giving everybody an occasional break as well.
Occasional
Like
break from David
I've
Barlow.
sandwiched you in a different couple
Uh-huh.
places, so I don't have to keep going.
I see policies, I don't see the report. That's all right. I'll look up
It's in there. No, it's in there. Look, you got one.
Yeah, well, you didn't have the other one.
Yeah, I did. I did. You have it.
So the highlight for this month's spending was in the building and maintenance fund, another 24,000 towards the rehabilitation of the Elijah Cleveland Meeting House. Is the one that put the steeple back on top of the church building. And also known as the Elijah Cleveland Meeting House. That was the major spending from buildings and maintenance fund. Reappraisal fund had a bit of expense, but also had a bit of incoming revenue from the state. The state provides about $5,800 a year, and that's, you see that on the revenue side for the reappraisal fund, and then we spend way more than that typically on reappraisal. The general fund spending itself was pretty typical for a month. For those that are curious about that and receive the email with this attachment, all you have to do is scroll down to the next page and you can look at the general fund reconciliation from NEMRIC and see where we're spending the money. All the checks are there in the amounts that went out and were cashed, as well as payroll. You can see how the reconciliation process works. You can see what's outstanding in terms of checks. And if you want to see the bank statements, they're down just a few pages below that. So for the curious, if you have questions, I'd be happy to put my treasurer hat on and you can come in and see me, or we can talk on the phone about any of the stuff in there that you have questions about. Not a terribly good month in terms of stock market performance, so our funds were again heading a little bit down, but not badly. Certainly outperforming the downturn of the stock market and kind of holding their value pretty well. So that's the good news on that, even though it's showing red. And with that, if there are no further questions, I will turn it back to the town administrator. Cut that off.
He's having fun with this.
And then I'll call on the emergency management director for item number 12.
So I'm gonna flip A and B around, although they're all part of the same thing. So every year we have to readopt our local emergency management plan. I went through and made some changes, just basic little things. I removed Ned Connell, anywhere in this. We have been doing back when Amanda was here, and then with Ned, I made them the emergency management coordinator, which is essentially the assistant to the director. I'm not gonna assign or request to appoint anybody that, since we're in a flux, then I don't want to put more on to David Byerly. There's a couple other people I thought about, but it's not needed. So with that, I'm not gonna say where those changes were made, because it's just wherever those were. There were two other things. I did add you. I was hoping David Gallup would be here, but I think our local resources don't change much. This is the one place I removed him from, which is the next thing we gotta do, is the authorized people for VT alert. Which was, I just removed Ned, and it's got the three of us as board members on, well, me as the direct emergency management director. Where I put you, Mr. Barlow, where did I put you?
EOC manning person.
Yes, that would be it.
That makes sense.
That would be where I put you. I also updated the constable, second constable to Izzy, as it was Jesse. Dom is still the chair of the water district, as far as I know. The operator. One thing that will be changing in here, but I'm not gonna change it this year, will be next year, is the principal will be changing, if you guys have not heard of that. At the school.
Oh, I didn't hear that.
Yep. Todd has taken another job over in Fairfax, I believe. So they're currently doing a principal search. But I'm gonna leave him on there now because he's there for the school year. On the back of this, there is the purchasing authority amendment, or whatever the last pages are called.
Purchasing authority, yeah.
So there'll be three motions I think we need to do. One for adopting the emergency plan. Two for the purchase authority. And three for the delegation of authority. So the delegation of authority is just stating that the select board has, geez. Can you even do this?
Could you have to recuse yourself?
Almost, because the spending authority,
I'm on there too.
you're
though.
on there too, so.
We're not changing anything though.
No, that spending, that purchase authority was, I believe, I'd have to look it up, was signed without a date on it. So we almost don't need to do that every year. Let me look at that.
They need this by the end of this month.
The LEMP, we don't need the attachments. Especially if the attachments were signed without a date the first time. Signed on VT alert, back. Sorry. Oh, okay. Town of Coventry 2020 local emergency management plan. And it's signed with a date, but it doesn't have an end date. What's your take on that, Mr. Barlow?
If the names are still the same, probably okay.
The EMD delegation,
If the authorities have not.
Doesn't it
changed.
say up top through 2023?
that one does, so that one has been per year because it's appointed per year.
No, that one's.
The purchasing authority, though, doesn't have any date other than the sign date.
That's not really a change though from normal
The
purchasing
purchasing
authorities that
authority,
you have
no.
as a select board chair and the.
Yeah,
Road
and that's,
commission.
and that's why it's written that way, I think, was to keep that so it didn't have to change.
you know,
But
really it's just-
the delegation of authority. That doesn't have to go in the LEM necessarily.
So do
I
we,
don't know,
why
how can we, how do we?
don't we approve what they need for the end of the month and then we'll vote when David's here and we can recuse individual people as needed and
Feel that needs to be done, or do you think we can be done this way? I think it's the delegation of authority. No worry about.
Okay, well, then table that part, but I think you should go ahead and vote to
Yeah.
approve the changes. The editing changes basically to the overall plan. Where it's not a potential.
I'll let you make the motion, so it's not as.
all right, so I make the motion that we approve the changes that the EMD coordinator made to this local emergency management plan for the 2022 year.
And I'll have, I sign as the EMD and you sign as the chair. That works.
Do I have a second?
I second.
All those in favor? Aye.
And we'll just bring that up later, or.
Should we
Yeah, I
sign
think
it?
that-
You want me to sign
Yeah,
it?
sign
This one?
this.
Give me yours, I'll sign it, and then you can send it in.
Yeah. Then,
So at next meeting when Mr. Gallup is here,
we had
we'll,
those two different ones, yeah. The VT alert authorization is removing, oh, that's where I put you to. Is removing Ned off and adding David Barlow on as a authorized requester to do a VT alert, which I've been the one that's done them, so. And I can do it from anywhere, so usually nobody else ends up doing it, but. I'll make the motion, I guess, if it works that way, to accept the updated VT alert authorization to be sent to Newport PD and associated state officials for removing Ned Connell and adding David Barlow as a authorized requester, which makes the list as myself, David Barlow, David Gallup, and Scott Breyer,
second.
and have Scott Breyer. That's fine as the board member.
All those in favor?
I
Aye.
sign that one.
I'm sorry, so what was that called?
Vermont VT alert.
Maybe
I'll,
I'll-
Just sign it above my name. There's no sign above my name.
Yeah. Sign it. Authorization to request a VT alert.
So we just have to do the EMD
Yeah, we'll do
delegation
the
of
delegation
authority next meeting.
Delegation of the authority and the, oh, the policy was fine, purchasing policy. was fine.
Yeah.
Okay, all set. We will move on then to treasurer policies. That Continuing quest to go through all the policies. These are the policies that your treasurer had when he was elected. So he wrote them himself and declared them good and put them in effect as an elected official. However, now that he's hired, they're all yours. I can go through each and just talk briefly why they exist, if that would be helpful. Each one has its own little controversy, but
This is what you've been using for the last 3 years.
that's correct. With one exception, but yeah.
Just tell me the one exception.
That would be the making folks pay for duplicate tax bills. That's only been around for 2 years.
What's that? So,
So it's $1 per page plus $2
Yeah,
if they
that's
want to
how
know.
we deliver it. It's consistent
I
with
got
the
it.
way that Deb, as the clerk,
does it with
does
the
her
town
pricing
documents?
for researchers. And it's a little bit inconsistent in that if somebody just comes in, a resident comes in and wants to make copies of whatever, as long as it's something not too large, we charge 10 cents a page or something, 15. I'd have to go look and see what it is. But the problem with tax bills has always been, there was a group that was treating the town as their file cabinet. And every year we'd get calls from the accountants, from the individuals themselves, expecting that we were just gonna lickety split deliver a tax bill. It's 10 or 15 minutes to go and get the right one, print it, do whatever it is we need to do with it.
I mean, $1 doesn't seem hardly enough.
But it's consistent with what we charge researchers. So I wanted to be consistent in that aspect. And it's consistent with the way we kind of do on-demand copies, in other words. So yeah, if you bring in your own stuff and you want to make a copy, then that's one thing, but you come in and you're demanding, give me my tax bill. Well,
Here's a question. So it's the same as what we do with researchers, but the researchers come in and do the work for you for it, right?
generally speaking, yes.
What
It
just
depends.
stuck with me was when you said it's not just a lickety split thing, it takes 15 minutes to get it.
Yeah, it depends on the situation.
$1 doesn't come with that.
That's correct. I mean, it's not necessarily dedicated time. I don't want to
Right.
oversell.
Yeah, no. I
Days like today, I've got the file up on my computer ready to go, because I
Yeah.
know I'm gonna get any time in the March through April window.
Yeah.
It's a first load thing when I show up, but.
But look how much some others charge for.
Yeah, I mean, we could, I'm not arguing to increase it. It has been helpful, and it's cut down on the numbers. Recognizing that there are folks who just randomly, from time to time, people just can't find it and they need another copy. Well, I get it. It's not a habitual thing. It was the habitual stuff that I was trying to cut down, and that seems to have helped. The whole paying property taxes only with, or eliminating cash from the whole property tax thing has been a non-controversial. I've gotten literally zero pushback on that. I was very surprised, but it just has been a non-issue.
This is so updated March 7th, 2022, acceptable payment method. What did you change in this one? If you just updated it,
If you look at item number 6, we cannot make change for bill denominations greater than $20. We are not a bank. I had a young man show up with a $100 bill for a 50-cent.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that. They'll have to go to the store and just.
It's like, we don't.
Well, you'll-
Did we have a change? Yes. But did we have change after he left? No.
For the property taxes, it's no cash, everything else, the little stuff is cash is acceptable.
Yeah, up to $100.
I like their online thing. I just paid for a duplicate tax bill.
Okay, yeah, I mean,
It was handy.
it is, and you think, as long as you know that you can do it for $1.50. and
Yes, I did, $2.50, not
Not
the
do the
$3.
$3 version, which is the credit card version.
paid my dog license fees on that and everything else. It's handy.
And
Write checks anymore.
and when we get researchers, I think, Scott, you've heard about it, researchers who complain about, hey, you know, you're charging me to get this. I don't want to sit at home, I want to come in and all this. It's like, for $1.50, you can avoid having to drive here. Get it delivered right to your box.
So what's
As long as you
what's the
know,
$3
as
thing?
long as you know exactly what it is you want. If you have a book and page number.
Yeah.
If you have and it's something we have already electronically, tax bill, that's,
What's the $3?
if you use Municipay, which is the provider for these services, if you use a credit card. Instead
So
of,
what's the other way?
you can use your bank account,
Oh, okay,
ACH.
okay, do it ACH, okay.
right? That's a fixed fee, so you can do whatever amount, whatever they're.
Yep.
With an ACH, and you.
Yep.
Especially for like delinquent taxpayers who frequently use that, that's.
Yep.
Money saver.
So do we need to, we don't need to readopt these, or do we, or do you
I would
review?
recommend that you do, just because you've never adopted them before. And if, as long as you're kind of owning them now, or I would hope, I wish you would, that's just the way to put it.
So
So that they would have the full authority of the select board versus.
Do we need to do them separately or the four?
Or, I think just to be
Safe, do them all separate?
safe, you could just do it with one motion and just read what they are.
Okay, I'll make a motion to accept the treasurer policies that are acceptable payment methods policy. The duplicate tax bill charging policy. There's no name on it. The eliminating of small value education tax credits policy. And the payment of negative tax due amounts policy as the treasurer has written them.
second, you missed one,
Did I
didn't you?
miss one?
Yeah, just to clarify, there's 2 acceptable payments policies, and one is
Oh,
for
yeah,
other than
right
property
there.
taxes.
Yep, so 5. Acceptable payments for other than property taxes, and then property tax payments methods. You can reword that how you make sense.
Second,
Aye.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so the treasurer policies have been adopted.
All right, and moving on to minutes from the April 4th select board meeting.
Did this be other business? Did we get I'll bring it up another business. No, yes. Did we get a contract out to Kelly?
No, that actually is a question I had for you. Thank you for reminding me. If you want me to ask it now, I will.
Well, let's add that into the other.
Okay. It fits within a general policy question about contracting, so. Okay. After the fall festival.
I didn't read all these. But they are very.
Do you know if Dave had any contact with Troy Reynolds?
Yes, he's working.
He's working on it.
You can, if you go around to the back, and I think even on the west side, you'll see.
Yeah, I saw that.
The
it
replacement
was
of
ripped on this.
siding. I haven't looked today. And somebody put up at least one of the roof overhangs that they took off and rebuilt.
Troy's the one from the Vermont Co-op. is what I'm referring to.
Oh, for VEC co-op. the
Oh,
co-op project.
that-
Yeah,
the
that's the
power.
Troy, yeah.
Yeah,
that's-
okay, no, that's
Did-
right, this guy's Trevor.
Yeah, Troy, yeah.
Sorry, all those T words,
Yeah.
T names. Yes, and apparently he did see him somewhere in town. He does have a drawing. Waiting for the drawing.
Okay.
So we can look at the, if there's gonna be any issues with, rights of way, not rights of ways, not the easements, or, the cabling that might be required.
I will make a motion to accept the minutes for the April 4th meeting.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, item 15, other business. Moving right along.
Painting bid, huh?
Yeah, so I have drafted up a, my own pile here to look at. But otherwise,
Yeah, so Monty has started fixing on the
yes,
building.
Trevor.
Trevor, yeah.
has started.
That's what it is, yeah.
That's what I was talking, I'm sorry, I missed the cue there. There's a couple different ways we could go with the painting bid. This is, I think, the simple approach, which basically advertised as simply as possible. A paint, you come give us. some bids.
Scrape, prime, and probably two coats of paint.
You could say that as well. Okay, that's part of my question.
Yeah, scrape is needed, prime the whole building, and two coats of paint.
Yeah,
And we-
Windows, those are all wood sashes, I'm assuming.
yeah, that's actually, if I could get to that last.
Okay.
I think we want to tell them honestly, though, I think we should put an oil-based paint, not a water-based paint. What do you think? I think it just lasts longer.
I don't know enough about paint.
Probably a conversation we have with them once we get the bids.
Okay.
See where that's at.
I don't know if either.
The problem what would be on the. I don't know.
Is there different qualities of paint? I think there is. Like, I want to use it, like, we should use the exterior Benjamin Moore or something, or
Yeah, there's. different
because if
colors.
people
Pickens
are,
Owen has three
if,
different
if
ones.
people are using the cheapest paint, you know, somebody's contract could be $5,000 more just because of the cost of the paint. So maybe we should stipulate,
A warranty.
That's an approach, or a, just use the words high quality paint and for questioning, I don't,
I think
I'm not
a
sure how you
warranty,
evaluate
warranty would
that.
be the way to go, because paint manufacturers put warranty on their paint, don't they?
I still think you get a cheap one that still says that it's X amount.
Or at least it'd be covered if it's within 5 years or whatever it would be.
or we could advertise as a cost plus offer, that we're gonna just pay for the paint, you tell us the best paint to get, and we'll pay
Could
for
do
it.
that too.
We've
Where
heard-
you apply it.
Right, all the labor will apply, we'll provide the paint, and then we could talk to like Randy at Lapierre's. And,
Yeah,
I mean,
Or
there's,
we'll pay for the, how do you do that? Because you kind of, I've heard a lot of painters lately, so it's like, you really want them using the products they're comfortable with
right.
and know how to use well.
And they might have the ability to get it too.
Right, it's also their ability to get it on the job site.
well, it might be cheaper, but all of a sudden, we'd like hate to see an extra 50 gallons of paint go missing, because we don't know, I don't know how many gallons of paint that building's gonna take.
Yeah, let me give that some thought. But understand I think I understand your point and the concept, which is. What's.
The only thing that I
It's
can
like
think of
siding,
is
like-
we choose, are we leaving it white? I think we leave it white, right?
Yeah, I would
That's
say
what my
white.
color-
So do white with a, how many year warranty that it would end up thinking?
Well, you know what I can do is I can reach out to Randy Davis at Lapierre's and tell him we're thinking of painting the church,
Mhm.
exterior paint. What would you recommend for a paint that's durable and long lasting? And what are the criterias of that? Tell them we're getting
How would
contracting
we put
bids.
it into an RFP?
Yeah, and then I'll relate that to you in an email.
He's a engine and more.
Yeah,
So
Right.
would you want to ask that question to more than one paint supplier, because they
Probably.
might get a better price at pick and shovel?
We're not,
versus-
I'm not gonna say that it's just, I'm gonna use it, the information he's gonna give us is generic so that I'm not saying that the paint,
Has to be like Benjamin.
it doesn't have to be
Yeah.
Benjamin, and they don't have to buy it from Randy, but what are the guidelines we should be asking for this paint? And maybe there's only 3 or 4 different manufacturers that have this guideline. One would be obviously the paint he sells.
Yeah.
And then there'll be, maybe Poline sells it and Pick and Shovel sells.
Yeah, I know one of the local painters gets his supply out of St. Johnsburg, they deliver it. Trying to remember which company that is. Apparently, there's only like 2 or 3 companies who actually make actual paint. There's lots of different brands,
oh yeah,
but
it's all really.
the manufacturing is actually a very
Right,
consolidated.
and it could be like
business.
beer. Everybody has a different flavor. They're all probably good.
Right, well,
So it's,
the
but
other thing I can look at is pop over my local Consumer Reports magazine and see how they've rated stuff as well. And it's not, but you still kind of get into that for sure. Each painter has their own preferred line for various reasons. And
they're definitely using 100 gallons at 30 to 50 gallons of paint dollars per gallon. And it just depends on what brand they're using. And I guess if we are educated and we can ask the questions or know the questions or put it in the RFP that we're expecting a high quality
Yeah.
paint that meets these certain criteria. Okay. I'll call, I'll let you know.
yeah, it's a tough one. You can see, and you can peel that onion back a little bit.
Well, the
more.
other
Yeah.
way you could do it is not even do it, put the RFP out and then we ask those questions to the people who have put the bid in.
Yeah, well,
What's kind of paint are you bidding? What kind of paint are you using? What is the warranty? What is the? And that can be part of the deciding factor.
Let me think of some words maybe that we put in here that try and get that brought forward as part of the bidding process.
Yeah.
It's like,
I'll try to get you what you need also, whatever I can find out before our next meeting, because it'd be nice to get this out.
Yeah.
so, yeah, one of my questions is about color. We have,
Can you see the difference?
we have the white for sure. Most of the
Yep.
building
Yeah, I
is white.
think-
Has been
The white.
different colors in the past. The steeple has the green in it currently. And just in the nick of time, the painter of the steeple, kind of green color, has arrived.
So,
Mr. Gallup, do those need another coat?
so the ones I did are pretty well fine, but he replaced a slat after. Then he added 2.
Wow.
So those are gonna have to come down and get painted. So we don't have to stay with that green. I think Jan went with that color based on what was there originally. You know, so if you guys wanna go all white or whatever you wanna do.
I've honestly looked at the color.
I'm not opposed to whatever anyone's view is.
I think a little bit of a, maybe a darker green, slightly darker. green?
I could see darker being better.
There's a house on the back, Coventry Road, that when you do the Google, it's got that same color.
Mhm.
It gives you know. Next to a real white.
Yeah.
So is that all part of is that what you were wanting, having that part of the bid too? That was your Windows question, wasn't it?
No.
Would
Yeah,
fall
I think
into it.
we actually have a different task with the windows, but
Yeah.
the painting bid, sounds like we need to include mostly white, but some,
Color.
a green shade on the parts of the steeple.
So the main siding and corner boards are gonna be the same color and the window trim, all the same color. and then we plan on doing some accents on the steeple, not exactly sure what yet.
The color, no, but they're already mostly painted. You can get an idea if you look at it. What, it's the shutters on the steeple.
I can finish them. I mean, I just gotta get up there and get them down. I mean, it's just, I think there's only two, plus that one that they repaired after the fact.
I don't think it's gonna cost us any more to have them just, whoever them is.
Yeah,
The only thing we're talking about is the quality of paint and the kind of paint. So I was gonna get a little information on paint from like Randy Lapierre.
yeah.
And then, so we're kind of educated on what we might want to use and not use. Not that we have to buy his brand or even get it from him, but it could affect the price of a bid by thousands, depending on if
Mhm.
someone's using a high end.
Yeah, I'm saying, man, I don't really know it.
I don't-
Like, I buy a lot of stuff in the fair and they sell Sherwin-Williams in there. I've heard painters swear by it. I don't even understand painting today, 'cause it's all latex, used to be, good wearing oil, good.
That's what I kind of threw out there today. Can we use an oil paint? They probably don't even make one, do they?
They do.
It's just, I think they do, it's
It's
just.
hard to
such an
find.
oddity.
I think it's harder to find.
Yeah.
Well, it really, I think, increases the labor dealing with it from a chemical perspective.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, cleaning your brushes and all
or
that.
if they even bother cleaning them, then they chuck them every day.
Yeah.
All right,
So I think that's what I needed on the painting part. When I look at the windows over there, I see a need to get them reglazed, basically. To me, it's a different project.
yeah,
Yeah.
If we went ahead and painted what's on there, I think we're wasting our money. If you operate any of them, and I had the opportunity when Jan left one open early in the summer, one of the big giant ones, and it was pouring down rain, and there it is wide open. And you get caught in a shower of falling putty as they, and you look at them close, and they're coming apart.
inside and out.
Yeah.
Reglazed. Who does that type of work? You know?
My father's about the only one, I think.
I was wondering that.
I bet you, I bet you a painter would,
But you might be able to get a paint, yeah.
bet somebody like, say Billy and those guys, they all know that stuff, they probably have to at that point. Painting afterwards.
So maybe we get a bit of reglazing the windows and paint.
Question would be, is the glass good?
I think we might want to try that as two different.
Two separate.
You know,
Yeah,
you
two
can look at like the
separate
front window that you're looking at here, it's on the left. You get close to it and it's
Racked.
racked. Parts of it, and it's like, okay, there's some rotten wood, there's just stuff going on. It's like, if we're gonna get at it, we might as well get at that.
So is the painter gonna actually paint the windows?
I'm gonna say no, if you guys are okay with that.
I would wait on the windows if you're gonna do that, yeah.
If we put the windows out as a separate action. They're also a different color, they're black, they're painted the black color.
So the windows would
They could
be,
be painted as they're brought out, come out too.
they gotta paint all the sills, but not. the
Or you
windows.
could put that into the bid, but the windows are gonna, it's like, it needs to be known that they won't be able to, we are getting them reglazed before they
Right.
painted.
Do you think it's cheaper to just put new replacement windows
You have to
and have
rebuild
them
the
made
building,
and get,
no,
and get fiberglass ones, or we don't wanna do that?
That's
I
gonna be
don't think
expensive.
we go that way.
No, just reglaze the what's there
Yeah.
for now.
If we find the need to make them more energy efficient, there are solutions for that,
Storm windows or.
that you can keep the original glass. I think it's just for the look of the building, you really need to keep what's there.
Okay.
Do we know what's underneath the plywood on this window? I know
I know who put it there.
Paul put it there, but I don't know what, I could ask him, I don't know if it's all shattered or
You
just.
can, we'll just go look from the inside.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think so. I think that if I remember Alan Peltmark telling me the story, that was part of his deal to raise awareness in the town that the church needed help back when it was still a church.
I thought Paul said it was broke, because I remember him saying it all iron.
That could be the case.
I'll ask Randy also if he knows anybody. He's a sells paint. He must know who reglazes windows.
And somebody with in an ideal world, somebody that with a historic knowledge of what the glass types would mean. Is that we would need to get the right glass.
Right, if we can find the right person, he'll be excited. He'll take them all
Mm-hmm.
out and redo them perfect and put them back. And he'd be not the guy who is, this guy who does the windows isn't the guy who has the ability probably to paint the building. We're looking for an old craftsman type of guy or a young craftsman type of guy.
Mhm.
Okay,
It might be a few at a time, and it won't be cheap, but I think it needs to be done. I'm happy to bring you over there and show you
I
what's
understand.
in there.
I know it does.
It's okay.
Yeah, and maybe make a note to reach out to the roofer and ask him when he's gonna start.
I did, actually. Thank you for reminding me. He thinks the material will be in June. They expect an early June start. It's not a commitment to start early June, but they've ordered, his email back to me was, we've ordered the material, we expect it in time to start in early June.
Okay.
Which is modestly hopeful, I guess. I think that's probably when we want them to be roofing.
It'd be nice if we had the steeple painted for just in case of an accident.
We'll probably have it done by then, though.
I only had one bid last.
Oh, the painting, yeah. My intent on the painting, well, as long as we get the.
I'll get you
words
every-
Would be to get like a 2.5, 3 week display time in the newspaper until we leave it long enough, but not too long.
So is the steeple being painted separately? Is that?
No, but he just wants to get that part of it. Maybe whoever we hire, say, we don't care when the bottom half's done, maybe after the roof, but if we could at least
Oh,
Get the
before
fascia.
Before the roof, I got it.
get all the fascia boards done before they put the new drip edge on and this chap steeple done, and then do the rest after the roof's off.
I got it.
I guess for me, I would just, if it was me doing it, I know I have that bad luck, it's still about half
Well, it's-
Half a gallon?
Right, but maybe, yeah,
That would be a bummer.
but maybe,
No, I follow now.
I follow, yeah. It might be cheaper to get it done before the roof, if they don't have to care about.
They're gonna have to start at the top anyway.
Mhm,
Trying to think what they would need for the.
tall one.
That's gonna be one of the United's probably.
So I thought last year when Bill was quoting, he had a lift around at that time. I thought he said it was a 65 footer. He thought it could. What it is up there.
You be.
Yeah, right.
On a windy day.
An 85-foot lift to the steeples up. 65 if it's down.
Yeah, but that's to the peak.
85 feet to the top, yeah. So 65 he would need, and that's probably because of how far away from the, he's gonna be on the road. 85, that's tall, that's our tower. Fire department's tower.
Wouldn't want to be out on the end of that thing. Okay.
I'm not doing it.
Okay, that was a long time on that. All right, Martha. Martha, you still with?
Hey.
You're
So, I just forwarded the email that I got from Chris from ADA. He was the guy that did our traffic plan for the fall festival and implemented it. So they're just wondering if we're having a fall festival, if ADA will be invited back. And kind of just an update. I don't have one. As everybody knows, I've kind of checked out from town business. This new year's been a little rough, so I don't know how to respond to him. You've seen what I responded to him, so
So the last meeting, we did talk about the fall festival and David Gallup was gonna start working on that and Carrie's here, so.
Yeah, I've got a message going around. I need everybody's phone numbers to include him. Because somebody doesn't have Facebook. So I'm waiting on one phone number.
I do want Facebook Marketplace in the worst way. But nothing nothing else.
So yes, we are.
You
and-
shouldn't be allowed to have Facebook.
I never had, I've never even been to.
So Martha, you are, should we have one of them respond back to Chris then? Or do you want to,
I can con.
So absolutely, I included the, when I forwarded the email, I included it to all of the committee members,
yep,
past committee members, so that somebody can deal with that. They'll also, want to start talking with the radio stations about getting proposals if that's the line you want to go, but you want to not leave it at the deadline along with the sheriff too. So the only thing is you got to prep them contracts a little bit more than the other contracts.
And we have to,
Carrie's putting a thumbs up.
we kind of got to figure out a date.
Yeah,
So-
that's one
Is
of
it-
the first things. We
Yeah.
don't want it the same time as Barton Fair, and they're late again. This is their third year of 3 with their, the rides. They have a 3-year contract with the people that are supplying the
Oh, yeah.
rides. And so it's whatever week in September, so that's why we ended up with an August date. So,
We were August, I thought we were.
It was August 28th.
yeah, we're very end of
Yeah, it
August,
was.
only because of Barton Fair. We didn't want to compete with them.
Yeah, I keep getting asked for fireworks too.
Yeah.
Not that it's a big deal, she just keeps bringing it forward.
That time frame ain't terrible, you just never know in the fall, though. I mean, that was a cold rainy night.
Yeah.
Could be a nice
So did you see the email?
Yes.
Okay, okay, yeah, that's probably the response was that yes, we are planning, we don't
Planning.
have a date yet.
All right, so maybe by our next meeting, we can have a tentative date and then we'll reach out to these other, to the sheriff to see if that date works and see if what's the name of the company Martha said?
Talk to you.
Mhm.
ADA.
ADA.
ADA, yeah, they did some of the security, the sheriff's department.
Yep.
When you do talk about a date, think about if we want to rain date the fireworks too. Because that was something that I don't think I ever got last year and just said, no, we're not doing it.
Mhm, yeah.
Okay,
That brings us to item C in other business, cleaning contract and contracts in general. So that's a bit of my new job I haven't delved into yet. I'm assuming there's previous signed contracts in the file.
There is a
somewhere.
contract for her.
Mhm.
I pulled it up. I'll see if I can pull it up. Is that what you're looking for?
so do you want to just reach out to Kelly though and just tell her to send us a new contract? Have her make the contract.
That's been my thought all along, but we've done it apparently.
We've done it.
That was my thinking would be the approach, but I didn't really know because I haven't looked.
Yeah, here, I'll forward it to you.
If we have our
I
old
don't have the
contract
signed
and
one, but I
nothing's,
have the old one, the 2020 one.
if nothing's changed, well,
Mhm.
the name of our business has changed.
Yeah, you just gotta change that, but
Since we're paying, I kind of normally expect that
She would
as a
provide it.
business person, she would provide the contract.
And normally,
well, that's what I thought about too, but then there was an email from Deb for something else. Oh, it was the cleaning after the deep clean after the construction. She said that we never sent a contract to them. Like, well, they should be making the contract for us. shouldn't they?
normally that's how it works.
Yeah, as the service provider.
Yeah,
Yeah, then they usually send us.
I would like to make my own contract for DirecTV.
exactly.
It never records the shows it's supposed to, and
Yeah,
when the power goes out, you don't give me a refund, or when your service is down, I get no credits ever.
I'll forward you the one that I found from 2020.
Okay.
But also check compare it to the RFP too, because we had the RFP with things in right and things added. And then ask Kelly.
Well, that's kind of where I see the disconnect is.
I think
I think honestly, the contracts that I've seen have been us making the, except for these big ones like the painting or whatever.
Mhm.
But this little stuff, it's been us throwing a contract out there.
Yeah. But I've been
I never,
counting on it,
which I never understood.
that it's kind of one of those things, if you want it done and done right, you kind of have to do it,
Mhm.
otherwise. But.
That's a
okay,
time
let's
thing.
see what we got, yeah. I mean,
Right. I would reach out to her and ask her to send us a contract. Send us a new contract so we can sign it and get it in the file. Let's do that. She needs to make the contract. She's providing the service, the contract to meet the requirements of the RFP. That's all she has to say per RFP. $800 per month.
Just
Insurance, we gotta have an insurance certificate.
And she knows, I
I
mean,
think that's probably.
it's all in
as well.
there.
Yeah, I think she's already sent that. Okay. That leads us to item 16. That's a lot of items, man. Who set this up anyway? He needs to be fired. Um, So we have the warrants, but we have a couple billing issues. I think you probably already looked through the warrants. We have the San Souci billing issue, where we're just being billed this huge number of hours for a task that one would not think would take that amount of hours. So I'm looking for some guidance on how you want me to
Are you gonna talk to?
tackle that.
So we haven't seen, have we actually even seen any of, we get no copies of anything, right? We're
These
required to,
deliverables, I think. I'm led to believe, I had a little bit of email with Zach Chen,
Yeah.
the Monahan's lawyer,
They went to Brian, right?
that indicate that what they sent out, what they got from San Souci was electronic. I have yet to have a conversation with him to clarify exactly what that was. So we were billed for hard copy.
so must be what happens is, must be San Souci gets them all, prints them all, and then scans them and sends it in this electronically to the attorney, I would imagine. They do print it, I would imagine.
Right, but you can.
At their
print to a
office.
PDF. He's billing us $1.50 a tape color, 240 color.
Yeah, I would find out
copies.
if that actually happened, because
But that,
even this, even Monahan's office wasn't, to my knowledge, sending that stuff to them hard copy. I think it was all electronic.
and who these days, well.
Color copies, why?
Well, it may
Yeah,
be
look at that bill that
glass,
costs
I
us
don't
that
know,
much.
but again. Why would you print them and scan them? Just print them to a file. That's- But even that's just the modest, that's the modest part of this bill, it's the hours, really? Because there's two bills, I have a copy of one I gave you, but there's another bill for
Right.
about 2,000, which was another 8 or 10 hours. And even that, I thought that when I first saw that one come in, I thought, well, that's kind of steep. Little did I know
That was just,
that another week and a half of work apparently was going to be billed to what? I mean, it's literally half what he charged us to do the entire appraisal to begin with. So,
right,
we
right.
should-
I think we need to have a conversation with them. Do we want to give you,
Well, do we want to talk to Brian Monahan first, or do we want to go directly?
Yeah, my opinion is talk to Brian, because I seem to recall a conversation coming up that they weren't originally giving the records or getting Brian's office any of the information. And it was coming down to that Casella was gonna have to request it directly to San Souci. Like do a direct request to San Souci for that information.
do you want me to reach out to Brian and have him talk to Skip over there and just complain about the bill and say, this is bullshit, like doesn't make sense. Why your bill is half as much as what you charge to appraise.
I would say we need to get Brian make sure he agrees with us.
He does agree with us. I've talked to him about it.
Okay.
He agrees with us.
But I was just gonna say.
Yeah.
He,
It's
he,
like, well,
he
we should
agrees
find
with us
out.
100%.
Okay. Well, I think because it was kind of his task, we tasked and paid him to do that. From what I can tell from the, I mean, it was his lawyer that handled all that, consolidated it from us, consolidated it from them, and consolidated it from Sansucci and whoever else they might.
Have you emailed those copies of those bills with the breakdown to Brian?
It's a good question.
I think you have them in your email. Why don't you send them to Brian right now? And then when I call him,
I can do
he'll
that.
have them.
I don't know if I have them.
I
I
can,
thought I was just handing this around. So you had that contract, and that contract was based all the way through the BCA process. We haven't got to the BCA process for them,
There wasn't one though.
correct, but we haven't got to it.
Yeah.
So the only time we were going to get into another expense was Skip was supposed to be, if it wasn't settled at the BCA level. And then it had to go to court. I'm pretty sure you'll see that in the original.
And that's,
contract.
I would say, look at the contract to see if maybe this could be shoved under that contract somehow.
It's pretty brutal.
Yeah.
Well, and again, we're not
For
gonna,
public records
Brian Monahan's office was breaking down the statute on seeing if we're able to get any of this reimbursement of this. And he was gonna get back to me, but they're breaking it down to see, and we're definitely not gonna get fully reimbursed if partially.
well, and I think that to me, that's part two. Part one is the first part. We don't even know what this is for. What is this for?
We didn't see any of the
Well,
produced.
We didn't get the email or with, right,
Show us why this took 60-something hours.
You oughta ask, you oughta ask Zach to see how much time they put in on it.
Well, I can look at his bills.
That's true.
Because
nowhere,
they're
nowhere near
they're
that.
nowhere near,
No,
no.
I mean, it's just. So I think I may have already sent those bills to Brian, but I'll confirm and I'll let you know.
Okay, and I'll reach out to
Or I'll
Brian.
probably just resend. to
And
everybody.
we want to pay Brian's office to discuss it with Skip and make sense of it. We want to know, we want to understand, like,
So I think too, under that contract agreement, would that be part of defending his values?
That'd be my thought.
Because I believe that's in the contract too. He's contracted to defend that appraisal.
at an additional fee. It's not included.
No, to the BCA level. That contract was to the BCA level, and then if it wasn't settled at the BCA level, and it went to court, like when you guys went to.
Oh, so maybe, right, maybe, but maybe a public information request is totally different than defending yourself, right? It's just an informational request and maybe it doesn't fall into the contract. I guess we need to break down.
Still, a basic question is this: if he knew, and he should have known, that what he was doing was going to take so long,
Should have let us
should he have
know.
warned us first? So maybe we could then call Casella and say, hey, maybe you want to narrow this a little bit. There's all ways that this could have gone down all differently in a more acceptable manner.
How did that work, Scott, when you did your negotiating with WAC? Did Skip have to weigh in on anything?
He was there in mediation with us and I guess we should look back at any bills from him, because he would have billed us, I think he did bill us in mediation for himself, but I don't remember, we spent about 14 hours. I don't remember seeing a 14, but we may have.
Because that would have been outside the contract. Like I said, it would have been to the BCA level. It was the same with WAC, the utilities. It went to that point, then if it got to a court proceeding.
I don't know if that mediation was split between the town and the utilities, or if WEC paid his bill. I guess we could look back at any other bills for that we paid San Souci. If in 2020, did we pay San Souci any?
So I just found an email. The town has a flat fee agreement with San Souci for the front end appraisal piece of this deal, but not as to the litigation piece. The flat rate fee of the litigation, the city could not agree to that because he has some recent experience with Casella and he had some choice words about how the process has gone.
I think I tried to get it in the original contract and there was no way.
What was he trying to get with that?
Him to mediate, to litigate if it went to court, and he was like, no.
Yeah, because I remember that being a separate thing. I was saying with the utilities, and maybe the utilities must have made up public records requests for that information.
I don't recall that, no.
I don't either.
But I didn't know if they did, if we could compare the bill.
So the public records request, I don't think had to do with the appraisal.
No, it was
It had to do with,
CYA, the contractor.
yeah. I think it had more to do with that they were saying we did something wrong and didn't notify them of the change of appraisal. Which made them miss the deadline for appeal. Would I have that
Yeah,
correct?
and I think it came from their contractor who they
Yeah.
fired. When we showed them, no, here's the proof.
So they did do that?
Exactly.
They did do that?
That's what I've heard. I don't know it firsthand.
Shocking.
I certainly could understand that move.
Well, we didn't approve we didn't approve those in the warrants to pay those bills. yet.
No, those haven't gone through yet.
No,
You haven't
No.
officially seen them in warrants yet, but it's a,
it's coming. I'm sure he's gonna reach out to us pretty soon,
well,
but that's good, but, all right. You don't see anything else in his original contract? that
Well,
says-
I'm skimming through it now. I can forward this to you guys.
Yeah,
yes,
forward it to me, and then I'll read
Struggling
through
with-
it. Forward it to Brian
the
too, right
filing
now.
system in use.
So this email I found was from Amanda. Of something she must have sent, or you sent, wondering how the policy of appropriations. Did you hear back from Skip? So he sent back to all of us with the contract. I'll forward this to you.
Okay.
So do we want to leave this one where I'm gonna make sure that I've sent the billing, or I'll just resend the billing that's in question?
To Brian. I'll call Brian's office and ask him, I'll talk with Brian about the bill and reiterate that we sent the contract over and I want him to reach out to Skip. Is it George, his first name?
Right.
Regarding
San Souci LLC,
why,
what is this?
yeah, like why? And we want an explanation,
Consider it wildly unreasonable, would be my opinion. It's-
right?
I even considered his very first bill almost up bounds. That was only for like 1,800 something.
Right.
But in terms of hours spent, it's like, really?
If you already have all the information, it shouldn't take that long to get it together. You've done it. You got it in a folder.
Of course.
Take 50, or now you're doing more research that you didn't do originally?
Yeah, it's
It doesn't make sense to me.
perplexing. And if he has questions about information that he doesn't want to release. Okay, but I guess that would be a question for Brian as well. Was there some?
Right, did he
but
have
that's
to,
not what he's billing.
did he have to generate information because he didn't do it the first time when he came up with the value? That made sense to him? I mean, it doesn't make sense.
Doesn't. I mean, he generated for public reading report, which he gave to us. the one that I briefed the board on several months ago, that basically, said, here's my numbers and this, that, on page 35, the magic happens. Nothing, I'm not showing you anything, and there's the number, 52 million. So my secret sauce, he hid his secret sauce, it wasn't in the report.
So he's not, he's not required to send his secret sauce to
I don't
anyone.
think so, no.
No, okay.
I think he might have to stand and deliver if it goes to court. At some point, I think a judge could probably pry that loose, but in a public records request, I don't think so. It might be a question for Brian, but I don't think so. I mean, we were not required to reveal a fair amount of email traffic that's considered
Private.
private, not personal, not in that sense, but it's our own deliberations.
Not pertaining to the outcome, but it might have.
Well, no, I had to go back and read the attorney's language on that, but it wasn't, it was not, Casella could not cast an all-inclusive net on everything we ever did related to that. It was had to be a fit specific criteria. But it wasn't that hard to winnow it, but it took hours and hours and hours. It just wasn't.
All right,
Okay,
Let's
so
move
moving
on.
on, Orleans Fire Department contract. I put what I have printed out in your packet. And on the screen here for the benefit of our live studio audience. 8 pages to read.
it was basically the same contract as prior. Nothing
This
changed.
one is not.
Oh, it's not?
You, Dave, did you, when you forwarded that out the other day, did you put Mr. Barlow on it?
I believe so.
Cause that one you sent, it was the new one.
Yeah, I sent it to you, Scott, and David.
So it was not February 1st, 22, that John Morley signed.
No, it's the 18.
No, not if it's the 18,000.
No, that's not.
Okay.
The original one was how much?
16 something. The original one was 18,000 something.
So what you have is the original.
Yeah,
Right,
So
18,
then at the
divided by
next meeting, I think we approved the 16,000.
right, which
Yes.
he was going to
yeah, and.
honor it, and we're gonna have to review, and he's gonna get us our bill December 31st or January before we do our budget for next year, because we're gonna see an increase.
That's not that one.
Okay, so you've since forwarded another version that I just missed.
I believe I sent it to Phil last Sunday. Not this-
Yeah, you did. However, where's the contract? I didn't look at that up close enough. I thought the contract was not on there, not just the spreadsheet. Yeah, he sent the spreadsheet, so that's what I thought I saw the new contract somewhere.
I thought I saw that original 16,000. And the thing I sent you guys.
Yeah, the thing you sent us had the spreadsheet, but not the updated contract from John. I'm looking through.
So do you want me to just call him?
Nope, there it is. I
It's
found it.
resolved,
I
I'll
found it.
call him.
I found
And,
it. Print.
You wanna put it up there?
I can't put it up there. But I did find it.
Yeah, we don't really have a good way to do that, unfortunately. This
It's printing.
is our internal network,
It's
Oh.
7 pages.
but if you can email it to my one or both of my addresses.
So what were the changes?
So I think, I didn't look at it hard. I think I just looked at the cost. He changed the cost down to the
16,000.
Oh, wait, nope, never mind. I didn't find it. This is the 21 one. I don't think he sent a new one.
Okay, so
He sent a spreadsheet, that spreadsheet you sent.
you guys want me to contact him directly?
You can. It's gonna be unbelievable, no, this is money.
Stand and deliver. Send me an invoice. And the amount.
So
he's-
that email you sent,
What was that?
that was the spreadsheet that explained it all.
This just needs to be 16,000. It was gonna be the
Yeah,
same.
and that, you never saw another invoice from them with 16,000, did you?
I just forwarded you what I
So it was this.
Again,
had. You got it last.
Yeah,
I did.
but this is only the spreadsheet.
But it gives me a point to jump off.
Yearly
John, and
total.
say,
Um,
Here's what I
That's
need.
what I sent you.
So look on the back of this
February
page,
16th, I have attached a new spreadsheet with an adjustment. I
Right
believe
here.
this will take care of the selected, yeah, that's what,
16.
that's what you sent, but we don't have an updated contract or invoice from John.
What's in the rest of your packet?
18.
18, 546, 18.
That's what
This
we're
is-
missing.
This
That's
is what we
essentially-
have, but this is what we need. So why don't we approve this amount?
Well, we did approve that 16,000,
Right,
but John's calling David wondering where the money is, but we haven't gotten an updated invoice or contract to sign with them at that 16,000. They sent us a contract back on February,
So.
whenever it was.
Correct, so that contract would be the contract for the services that he was gonna provide. And then when it got questioned, he negotiated it down to
Yep.
16, but use of the contract itself is already approved too, right?
No, because the contract has the cost in it as 18,000. Yeah,
he agreed to reduce
Right
the
there,
contract
see?
too.
so we never approved, we approved the cost. We approved the contract, but we haven't gotten an updated contract with that cost in it changed. Or an invoice from Orleans at the updated cost.
Well, so what do we want to do for a decision? Want to approve the amount?
It's already been approved. We just, the reason he hasn't gotten the money is that we haven't gotten the actual invoice for that 16,000.
If
You
we
want me
get,
to judge him, you want me to, Dave?
I'll call.
Okay.
And then we just need the new contract so we can
we'll get the
sign
new
it. so it can be
contract, we'll
signed.
sign it and we can have a check for him after our next meeting, right? We can
Yeah.
approve it at the next meeting,
Or even quicker, but
even quicker.
Deb's out this week, so it would at the earliest be early next week.
And if he has already sent the email, have him send it, because obviously between
The
then and
only emails
now.
I had was the ones you guys had.
Yeah.
I resent them to you.
Yeah, here's George's bill right here.
I could have swore the one you sent had the contract on it.
I don't think so. I never see.
And maybe I just didn't look at it and I was
I
just
don't
like, yep, you're right.
I know my phone.
That's fine. It was just a phone call.
Okay, so I'm gonna call him.
Okay.
And we'll get it checked.
I had one other thing. You'd sent an email or regarding the, what is it called, the ARPA funds?
The ARPA
ARPA
funds.
funds, yes.
Instead of, like, isn't there a way we can bill, we already have the money, but wasn't there a new way that they're just for reimbursable income?
There, if you receive less than 10 million or less in funds, and we're gonna receive about 250,000, you can declare it as lost revenue and just treat it like general fund money. So it just goes into the general fund and spend away. With one restriction that I'm aware of, you can't spend it on retirement funds. Oddly enough, so because of the concern that states were gonna make the retirement funds whole, Vermont has the same issue with ARPA money. But we could essentially spend it on anything else
Well, I
that
would
we
think,
would normally.
paperwork wise,
Mhm.
we should do that
Oh,
and just
absolutely.
do it, claim it that way, then we don't have any timeline on spending it. And we can use it to fund, if we do like, if we want to do, matched grants for people fixing their houses in town or doing anything.
Didn't you have it?
I'm waiting for the motion.
Yeah,
So when was that,
it was an email that,
Didn't you have? a
recently or
lawsuit?
a while back?
I just got one as we were stepping up here.
because otherwise, if we use the
File a
money,
report about
it's
ARPA.
so much book work for the treasurer, so much book, we won't have to be.
So the motion needs to be to use that money
Yeah, declare the
for.
ARPA money as,
Lost revenue.
lost revenue and transfer it to the general fund. We can do it this way. Let me put together the way it really should
Okay.
sound,
Yeah,
because it's not a rush.
no, we got like 2 years.
You got another 4 years, so.
But we
But
should definitely do that. We already have the money, right?
we have half of
Part
it.
of it.
So
Second
when,
half will show up in October.
So did the losses in income, will they cover that whole amount? I mean,
We don't have to show any loss. It's just the ruling came down from the Department of Treasury.
the state doesn't want to keep track of it either,
They
or
don't.
the federal government, they don't want to keep track.
There's no way they can track all that. There, if you receive 10 million or less, you can consider it lost revenue. Declared as such.
So any town would do
Mhm.
Yeah, every town in Vermont,
that. I mean, how
I
many,
think they all qualified. Maybe the city of Arlington didn't, but everybody else.
It makes it's a no-brainer for us to do that.
I think so. Let me get the right wording. To
Yeah,
Comparison.
Spin it.
and then you just keep it in your accounting separate. Possibly, or put it in there, however.
It has to go in the general fund.
It is actually already physically, it
It is,
physically
yeah.
goes into the bank, into that account, so it maximizes the interest we get on it.
But you could tag it separate so that if we
It is.
do decide, like, if we do decide to fix something or put grants out there.
Mhm.
It wouldn't make sense if it would look kind of funny that the town's taking out of their general fund grant money for this, you know,
Yeah, it's not in there, it's in there, it's on the ARPA line. In fact, I have set up its own fund, so.
Yeah.
It's a long explanation, it's just, it is distinct.
That way we'd know when it was gone. We would never know. If it just goes in the general fund and the general fund just goes up, then we have no idea when the ARPA money's gone. When we used it,
Yeah, because, well, the downside of putting it in the general fund though, is that you can't just spend it. You're gonna need, the same way all the other general
You're
fund
gonna
money
need
is, you need-
approval.
it needs to be in the budget. And approved as a budgetary.
at town
expense.
meeting,
Typically, yes. I can't speak for the entire breadth, but there may be some exceptions to that, I don't know, but,
so does it delay the time frame that they have to spend it? To say you
No,
put it in there,
you need to have it obligated or essentially spent by the end of 2024. I think is obligated.
so it doesn't take all the thinking out of it, we still have to come up with dollars to spend.
oh no, it takes all the thinking out of it if we put it into the general fund and we
Right.
claim it as lost income.
Because at that point, it's set.
No, we don't have to spend it ever. It's gone.
Yeah, he did. He did. I think you didn't understand it. So,
You couldn't sit here tonight and go, well, I move, we take that money and we rebuild all the windows in the church. So it's not the reserve fund.
so he's separating it. Once it's in the general fund, we have to go to the taxpayers to,
Yeah, that part I understand.
But that's-
But you're saying we still have to spend that money before 24?
if it's done that way.
No,
No, not in that sense. Before, by the end of 2024, and I have to check the date, it might actually be 2025 to have it spent. It has to be, I have to have reported in the federal system that we have treated it as lost revenue and moved it
Into our
into
general
our
fund.
general fund, or the voters approve moving it into a reserve fund, or whatever it is we do with it.
And
has
at
to
that
be
point,
reported.
it's considered spent.
Yeah, once it's not on the federal books anymore, and it's completely on our books,
So-
it's done. We've made that declaration.
Yeah,
So-
So my only concern was if we still have to spend it by a certain time frame, we still have to come up with the ideas to spend it
No.
on, but we don't have to.
No.
no, we don't have to come up with the ideas to spend it. But it would be nice to track it, but we're not gonna be able to just say, hey, let's put 50,000 into grants for the local towns people to get a new porch and paint in front of their house. It would have to be approved at town meeting.
Mhm.
Whereas right now, the
Right
select
now,
board
it's-
has the power to do
we could come up with the projects,
And
say what we're gonna do it on and do it without.
fund it.
If you want to torment your treasurer, yes.
Yes.
We
We
could,
have a grant to build a new barn.
Because the reporting on that is.
Good, I mean,
so I guess it's something, it'd be something for us to think about. Do we want to have the power as a select board or the authority to have $350,000 to
Two
250?
Eight and change. I have to look at the number, but it's important.
But I don't, or do we just want to not burden the treasurer and just put it in the general fund and let people vote on it at town meeting? But at town meeting, they could vote to,
You could do the grant thing.
they could do it,
You
yeah.
just move it into a grant reserve fund.
We have time to think about it.
Yeah.
You do.
But I think I think it is cool. At first glance, it's like, yeah, that's a no-brainer. Let's do it that way. But then,
Yeah, you do give up.
but you do give up, you know, the town may not, we may come up with, or, you know, you may present something to us. The planning commission may present something to us that we can't fund unless we go to town meeting and get it approved. But with this money, if it qualifies, we could make the decision right in this room to spend 100,000 on
You could. but
the
then-
common, like,
But then there's a lot of paperwork.
A lot of paperwork, and you have to have what I call a source of supply. You have to be able to make sure that you really can spend that money by whatever the deadline is. Essentially, some place. I mean, so if we were to say, okay, we'll offer grants to local homeowners, those have to be done. I mean, it actually has to be work accomplished, checks cut, contractors paid by the
Yeah.
deadline.
we may be better off to just put it into the general fund and be done with it.
Yeah.
once we talk about that whole grants. Then we got troubles now, this become a bank,
Right,
you know, what that.
you're forced into it by the rules, that's how that works. Even though there's no repayment necessarily. It's-
Yeah. I think we look into the troubles of that.
But you know what, it might be nice with that money found, say we decided to move all these power lines in town and it was or do some, and it's $300,000, could we use that money?
Anything on the top of the island.
Yeah, I mean, but it has to be, it also has to be done by,
Well, that kind of thing would be done.
Or does it still?
Well, if we put it in the general fund, it doesn't.
So it takes away the.
But-
Guideline.
Yes, but then it falls under the taxpayers of saying, yes, we want to
Yes.
spend that money on that.
Federal has no involvement in it and you can spend it whenever, but the select board doesn't have any authority on what it's spent for. We can only put it on a warrant at town meeting,
which is
which is okay
generally
too,
successful.
right?
I mean, when's the last time one of those got voted down?
Mhm.
Either,
Because you could warrant the warrant saying on the warrant, you could say, do the townspeople approve 150,000 of the ARPA funds or previously ARPA funds to go towards improvements in the village or whatever? Okay,
the new water fountain at 150 Main Street.
right. Okay. All right, so now review the warrants and sign. So you reviewed these warrants, right?
I reviewed the warrants and I'll make a motion to approve them. I did not have any questions.
Did David mention you guys that?
Not yet, so I thought about, and I forgot about bringing that up. Let's do this and then, yeah.
Okay, second. All those in favor?
I,
Aye.
so there was a car going in and out of there all weekend.
Okay, so tell me what happened. I don't know what happened.
So we just, we were picking up whips the other day. So
What doesn't look right?
we put our whips out back.
So,
Oh.
okay, hang on. Back in the fall, he purchased what, 700, 800 feet of pipe
This winter.
for the Pine Hill project? So that's where he's going.
So we had 2.5 crates of that pipe. We said, something don't look right. I got looking and had two damn crates was sitting there and tell one of them get empty plus a little bit out of the blue. So it came to like a little, I think it was like 320 feet. So I reported to the state police and Andy Jensen is one that's handling it right now. So he's gonna, he will let us know when a case number comes out for the insurance. company. 6-inch PVC.
I need to move my camera over that. I haven't done it yet. But what I did
Is that
catch.
green stuff? Green and,
Yeah, it was green. We actually had two with the green and one was blue. Took the whole top.
and it just happened.
In the last week or so. John thought it had happened since, between last week and.
Well, that sucks.
I'll have to go through. I know when I looked at my camera, I can see that it's in the top corner right now. But nighttime, you're
You
obviously
missed-
not gonna see anything, but if it was daytime, I might go pick something up, but I highly doubt it was daytime.
You missed one page to sign there. Just open that one back. There's one more in there.
Yeah, messed up.
Do we
So,
want
$5
to, we want to go back and approve, or do you want to be done to it since Dave is here? Do you want to go back
What?
and approve the Vermont alert authorization or whichever one already here?
Oh, the EMD delegation?
Yeah,
We can do that.
so it makes a lot more work for the minute coordinator.
So I updated the emergency plan.
Two changes and took Ned's name off everything, basically.
Yeah.
Added Barlow here and there.
But there's the delegation of authority that it looks like we've done every year, which is just stating that the board has appointed me as the,
Is that the one?
yeah. But there's another part of it that the board has appointed me as the EMD, and this is the authority that the EMD has. And I thought it'd be better to be recused from that one because
I got all these.
the purchasing authority, we said is not a problem, right?
That one. Yeah, because that didn't change.
Purchasing authority, I still got pretty little there.
Yeah, select board chair is full authority, road commissioner is full authority, emergency management director is 2,000, and the coordinator is 2,000. Actually, we were gonna do that one because it has the date on it. So there's the purchasing authority and then the EMD delegation of authority, which is just delegating the authority the EMD has. And I was gonna recuse myself just because.
So now that you're here, I make a motion that we approve the local emergency management plan attachment B EMD delegation of authority as written here.
Yes, we select board town of Coventry hereby appoint Philip Marquette as emergency management director for period March 2nd through to the 23 reorganization meeting.
So
All those in favor? Aye.
Now recuse.
And I don't think we have to.
I don't think we need to do that. I'm just gonna pull the date out of that. Purchasing authority.
Because we're all on there.
Because Yeah,
How do we can't,
it's just a different,
yeah.
it's a policy that goes into effect during an emergency
And
event.
I don't think we recused ourselves when we did it the first time, because then when none of us could vote on it.
none of you have ever spent in my time. I think Mark probably used to be. It's
Yeah,
always me doing stuff.
Yeah. All right, so you already got the signed one, right, of everything?
I need to sign that.
Here's this too.
And then I'll scroll up and put them into where they need to go.
I guess we'll do the roads update next meeting. Or did you want to give us an update
On the, maybe,
on the paving? That was the only other thing we tabled.
so I met with Mark Gray this week. Put together some tonnage numbers.
You could talk to him to find out what the process is.
He didn't say a price, but I heard some sort of prices from different towns, so. He basically the ones I talked about, Top Coat and Lawson Ridge, this covered bridge. I don't know if you noticed today when he came in, had slope failure again. So that's gonna have to be addressed
Where was that?
in the dip where it was cracked.
Oh,
The call there Saturday night, 11 o'clock, it fell on 4 inches. And Jason Sabini up there today, he's from AOT. It's just not much you're gonna be able to do. It's either go full bore and spend millions or just keep patching it.
Just patch it every year,
We
right?
talked about doing another toe slope down below and hammer that with ledge. And I just, nobody really knows the writing. It's just a shear and then soils that goes down forever. How do you correct it? We talked about different things, maybe digging it up, put drainage or. There's something called soil staples now and big rods.
It's kind of like what the state did from on the access road down into
It's
Newport. That
similar-
just,
It's similar,
it just settles it doesn't matter how much.
it's cured now though, right?
Yeah.
That thing, no, that thing's still good. You look at the guardrail, it's not straight.
they didn't straighten it out. It wasn't perfect after they finished it.
It's, yeah, well, it's getting worse. I go down there a lot.
Where's this one? Sorry. The one that you're talking?
No way to,
Downs,
Yeah.
up by the deer pit, different station.
Oh,
So anyway, I'll keep you in the loop on that, but I think it might just be patch it, go.
so where did we leave it at the last meeting? Were you guys gonna work on an RFP?
Yeah, so that's where I was getting at. So I basically met with Mark, but went over some tonnage numbers, had some ideas, and I'll get those printed out. And ready to send, well, we can probably send them out this week. but send them
Oh, that's what you were doing, getting the numbers you wanted in.
For tonnage. Like I said, we might have to pull Lane Road off the table for this year with the price and everything. That might be a good thing. Probably should check a pipe or two.
Great.
That could be a tricky one, 'cause they all did underground valve.
From the opposite side of the road.
Yeah,
when did you expect to put the drainage on Pine Hill Road by Rogers Pond? When was that gonna,
well, I don't want to pave till June anyway, so sometime in May.
you have some lined up already?
I usually just swing in Zebra and usually takes time, for it shouldn't take us long. Unless we have to work on it. If it's making rough, then might. But I'll have those numbers for you guys, and I'll send them to you, and send it out as now. Shouldn't take long. Okay. I think Mark sent them to me. It's right in there. It's just a tonnage numbers. But I think for the most part, we're gonna focus on our top coats.
That's what I was just gonna think of, like, just do the bare
Preserve the
minimum,
ones we got.
do bare minimum this year and then wait and see what happens with the market next.
Well, I mean, we're gonna protect what we have.
Yeah,
With those top coats.
Yeah.
And then we already decided the other night to save, kick out 330,000 in the top coats for next year, because it's already been approved. I think any extra money that we, if we have any extra money we have should go to a Delaware. There's only about 105,000.
Oh, Pine Hill is on the current contract, isn't it?
Yeah.
So that's not gonna, okay. Yep.
So you're gonna put, yeah, like we've talked about, putting reserves in for top coat of Pine Hill next year and whatever, and then if we approve more
So
money,
those are already,
right,
we only have that funding already approved, so we're protecting those roads before we go.
further.
Boulders again.
Yep. Yep.
It'd be interesting to see the precedents.
I make a motion,
You talking to?
I make a motion, we adjourn.
He doesn't. Second.
I got one quick question.
Which guy?
As
Do you
a, as a
Yeah.
town,
Do
as
we
a
wanna-
town
all right, so
resident.
we're done.
Okay.
Let him stop recording.
Oh, yes, thank you.
As a town